welcome to the AdoreKnit podcast. I'm your host, Steph, also known as Knitting Samurai and AdoreKnit Steph on Instagram and Ravelry. How have you been? It's been so long, and I have to say, I am a sock knitter. Like, that's all I want to knit these days. And I just felt like that wasn't enough to share with you guys, and life kept getting in the way. It's been crazy busy. The boys went back to in-person school, and I guess I lost an hour a day to driving them around. And so it got away from me. You know how that happens? And so I haven't sat down to record, and now here it is. I think it's 2 months later. So I have a lot to catch you up on, and I hope you are ready to talk about the shop reorg, the space, the studio reorg, and see what I've been working on for socks. I do have a couple other non-sock projects to share, but not a lot of progress on those. And yeah, so grab your coffee or tea and your knitting and let's chat. Right, so life is out of the way and I'm ready to talk. The boys, I don't know what they're doing, so they may interrupt, they may not. It's summer vacation here, woohoo, woohoo. And we've got our little inflatable pool up, the new bigger one that's 18 feet by 4 feet high, and I just love that little thing. It's probably the best $400 anyone has ever spent. So if you don't have one, they're totally worth having. So first up, let's do the finished objects first. So the first one are these. These are my May Desert Vista Dye Works socks. I know you saw them in progress, maybe, perhaps. I added this, it's just my plain, the Wendy Johnson sock pattern that I use for 900 pairs of socks, toe up, heel flap with a gusset, and I added in a zigzag stitch on the top of the foot, and yeah, some pearls, and it's just fun. I pulled the pattern off the hat and just slapped it on top of my foot for a sock. That's one of my favorite things about once you get advanced into your sock knitting, you don't have to buy patterns, you just need stitch patterns. Once you have those, you can do beautiful things. So this is the Fruit Popsicle colorway, and it's very bright. I enjoyed knitting it. I got it finished in time, and I think right up to the end though on these, because I wasn't really in love with the color. So I finished those up, and they rode around for a good chunk of the time in this bag, and I love the way they look together. Okay, so see this color combo first, right? Oh, those totally match. Now let me show you my, what month is it? June Desert Vista socks. And it's this, and I feel like this one matches just as well. I don't understand. Right? Okay, so we'll come back to him. Okay. The splash pad party is underway, and that's hosted by Jen on Downseller Studios. And for that knit along, you can use works in progress. And so I frequently start projects during the pigskin party and don't finish them. And I use sponsored yarn, and a lot of times the sponsors carry over, not always, but a lot of times. And so I had these on, I think I finished one this winter, right? I had like a toe of it, or a half a foot. And then I finished the first one this winter while watching Wonder Woman. I don't know why that's important. I just felt that it was. And this yarn is called That's Not Even a Word, which is a Scrabble reference. And the yarn is Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Love those colors. I did the vanilla latte stitch pattern, so every time you have a color change, you just slip every other stitch, and it gives it just a little zigzaggy, little fun detail going on there. So the leg was finished. I had a little nub of a toe, and so this past 2 weeks, I finished knitting the second sock, sitting around by our little pool while the boys played, and yeah, they're done and off my needles. I think, so this is Lisa's bounce base, which is my favorite base of hers. Well, I don't know. DK tweed is getting close. Mountain tweed is getting close. But for socks, this is my favorite of her sock yarns. or fingering weight yarns, I should say. So these may be my new favorite socks. I think they are just so gorgeous. And you know what's funny? I got this, and I think I got the Game of Life, whatever that was named. I looked at Monopoly and Battleship, but I got those two. And of the 4 games, Life, Monopoly, Battleship, Scrabble, I hate Scrabble. And that's the one I bought 2 of them, and then that was the one I knit. Based on hours of game time, Monopoly should have been what I bought, but oh well. So I gave you, nope, I'm gonna keep going. So the next sock that I cast on is with this year's Splash Pad Party colorway from Lisa, Fibronef Dye Works. That's it in my little hand wound ball. I think it's called Splash Stripes. I don't know, don't quote me. And it is like every other row or every other stripe is white, and then these neon colors are the other one. So I wasn't really keen on the idea of white stripes on the bottom of my sock. I didn't think it would look nice. I didn't think it would wear well. So I decided to do a slip stitch pattern that I would use the white as the main color, and then slip 2 rows of white, and then 2 rows of knit 2, slip 2, and then purl 2, slip 2. And I have it on my project page if you're curious. So yeah, I think they look like little dots of color. I think it's really, really fun. And you could see I was making it up as I went along, right? I think this was a cowl pattern that I grabbed the stitch pattern from. And yeah, as I went along, I was like, oh no, I don't want white. I don't want white. And so then I stopped doing white, and I started doing kind of short rows on the top and then all the way around with the color. And it's a little bit challenging. Yeah, I want to incorporate in a second skein I have of white yarn, or whitish. It's speckled, but it's mostly white, because I am eating up a lot of the white in the yarn, and I don't like doing that much color management, because you see I have a yarny mess. So this was cast on this Splash Pad Party. We'll see if I finish it. The other sock I've been working on has been this Mindless Workhorse yarn. Last time you saw it, I believe I was going the other direction. And I mentioned that, you know, conventional sock knitting is you knit from the cuff down. And so even though I started where the, I don't remember what this yarn is. It's meant to be a perfect pair. I'm looking, Hot Socks, I think is what it's called. And it has this bright green yarn in between where you can get 2 identical socks. You've heard of this. Everybody's seen these, right? And this is a Workhorse yarn. I think I found it on Etsy for $13. Pretty cheap, because I wanted to get, you know, some hard wearing sock yarn. And I didn't want opal for some reason, because opal's usually my go-to. So anyways, I was going from the start, and it wasn't working out. Like, my sock wasn't looking like the leg of the sock in the picture, or the foot of the sock in the picture. And that's when I realized, oh wait, let me switch this. So I scanned it all up and started from the other end, and now it looks like the sock on the label. So that's what I have so far. It's striping up nicely. The other way, it was kind of pooling and doing zigzags, which, you know, it's nice. Some people like that, but I bought the yarn because I wanted it to stripe. So there, that is why I restarted. So there's that one. And then the last sock I have to share with you that I've already quickly flashed in your face is my June DVD socks. So this one, the colorway is this stripe sequence. Sorry, this stripe sequence right here. And I added in some black, just solid black, to do the dots of color. I wanted to keep going with the idea I had for the Fibronef, but try it in a different way. And so using a self-striping yarn and then doing the dots in the solid color instead of reverse. And I really like how this looks. I think it's a fun texture. I'm doing a different heel than I normally do. I know. So one of the, I'm never gonna get right who it is. I'll put it on the bottom. One of the designers for a Splash Pad Party did the non-Euclidean heel. I want to say that's Sarah Jordan. If I'm wrong, I will like beat myself out or something. Anyways, she did that, and everybody and their brother has knit that heel, and it's a cool heel. Well, it's a cuff down heel, and I'm a toe up girl almost exclusively. I can Kitchener, but I don't want to if I don't have to. So, and I don't know, it's like running downhill for me to do the leg. So she came out with a toe up version of the non-Euclidean heel, and so it's based on math, and it's beyond me how she did it, but I got it. It's the CPCTC. It's an abbreviation with those 3 letters in some order. I should say it here. Anyways, so the increases are on the sole of the foot, and you end up with a heel cup that looks like that. Fits pretty well. I will say, as the first time I knit this pattern, I didn't leave enough negative ease in the length of the socks, so they're a little long for me. I went off of my actual foot measurement and not the measurement of what I like my socks to be. So my foot measures like 10 3/8 inches, and really I like a sock length closer to 9 3/4 or 10 inches. You know, I like it a little more snug in the length, and so this is knit to the full length of my foot, and it's a little loose. So the second one, I'm on it because it's it's June. See, I'm so confused. It's June 25th or 26th. The second one, I've started the heel increases, but I did start them like 3 or 4 rows earlier. I know it's not a lot, but you know, you're talking about a stripe. That's a 1/4 of an inch. I don't want them to fit too differently, and because there are slip stitches on the leg of this, I wanted them all on blockers so that I wouldn't have to be fiddling with them. And I thought I did so good getting them all set, and then I take it off the blocker. Oy. Okay, so because of the slip stitches in the fabric, I did go up to 35 stitches on the top of the foot, and then on the leg I went up to, I was gonna try 68. I think I went to 72. I will count my ribbing again because I did a 2x2 ribbing at the top, although I know I decreased down to that number. I can tell by my number of slip stitches. There we go. So I know I went at least to 70. I normally knit 64 stitches in the round, and I went up to at least 70, maybe 72. So there's that. Can you notice the difference in the stripes? The other thing, since I was experimenting with this and I wasn't really certain of what I was doing, I knit the self-striping yarn every round, right? And then for the slip stitch rounds, I would do a row of the black slipping and knitting, and then at the end of the side, I would turn, not knit the foot, and go back over the top of the foot. So the top of the foot ended up with a lot more length, which is also part of why I ended up with a too long sock. A lot more length than the bottom of the foot. And I was measuring off the bottom of the foot for figuring out where to start the heel construction. So trying it on, I realized that, you know, this front part of the sock is gonna tip up more than the back part. So I started making up for rows, adding more rows into the back of the leg. So it's not bunchy on the top of my foot by any means, but when I look at it, I do see that, you know, these stripes are wider in the back than they are in the front. That's fine. I'm not going to see the back of the foot when I'm wearing them. So there you go. Non-sock knitting. Where did I put that back? Oh, it's way down there. The other project, because I was in a gnome headspace, and Sarah of Imagine Landscapes released a mystery gnome along. I did much better than I did on the last mystery gnome along, but I didn't finish this one. And I was with them, and then I wanted to wait until the start of Splash Pad Party to cast it off so I could count the yardage, and I ended up setting it aside and just not finishing it. So I picked it back up, I want to say last Friday, and finished knitting the body on him. So this is Nathan. Something Nathan. The gnome, I don't know. It's Nathan with a G if you're looking for the pattern. So I stuffed him. I really enjoyed working the cable parts down that side and the details she put in here. So I have that done, right? And the beard was one of the first pieces we knit, so I have that. I also have an arm on the go. I don't know where it is. It's so tiny. It's in there. And a finished arm. So do the math. I need to do less than an inch of an arm and a nose and sew them together. That's all I need to do. That's less than an hour. Maybe this will be the motivation I need to sit down and finish it up. But there he is. He's not finished yet. He's a lot taller than my other gnomes. Oh, but maybe he'll sit in here. I knit him because my curtains in the dining room kitchen area are this color. And so this is a string theory colorway. I thought I would match, but now he's so big. And I have like a dusty rainbow colored gnome on the little shelf by my kitchen window over the sink. And I thought this would match better with the curtain, but it's way too big for that shelf. This is like a foot tall guy. So I'm not sure if it was me or if he was just intended to be larger. I haven't gone back and looked at the final finished dimensions of the gnome. I did go down 2 needle sizes because I know me. I'm loose. I am a loose knitter, so I don't want to see any white on my gnomes. And I don't. So maybe no, I was supposed to fully stuff the hat. I don't know. I will relook at the pattern and finish him up before I talk to you again, I promise. So there's him. We are burning through it. The other project that's been set aside, but I want to get back to, so I pulled out my pattern before I started talking to you and looked at it, is the Cowgirl purchase. Where is the... Yeah. Remember Pam Powers? I talked about how much I like her stuff. This is the Cowgirl cowl that I purchased. I also apparently needed to buy butter and dill slices that day. So I'm knitting mine with 2 strands of fingering weight knit picks. Stroll? Chroma? What's it called? This color. Stroll Gradient. 2 strands of this guy, which is a single ply. And I didn't know that when I bought it. Otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. I don't buy single ply generally because I don't like to glean or get the pills off of knitted items. I would rather have them not pill at all. And fingering, single ply, it can be an issue. I've been burnt by Malabrigo in the past. So I would say, looking at it, I am about 2/3 of the way through this, looking at where I am on the chart. And I remember having so much fun knitting on this. Roland and I had been playing Roller Coaster Tycoon together, and this was just buzzing along. And I really like that the darker teal color is going to be near my face, because yes, teal is my favorite color, in case you can tell. And then it's going to go down to lighter down here over my bust, which I think is a good way to emphasize things, or yeah, it's definitely not going to de-emphasize. Anyway, yeah, I think it'll be really nice. So I want to take this out and get back to it and finish it up. Oh, that reminds me, if I'm telling you about things I want to finish up, going into the splash pad party, I had 3 projects that I had cast on previously that were with sponsored yarn that I wanted to finish. So I'm going to grab the 3rd one. Okay, so the 3rd project, if you're counting at home, I've only shown you 1. So you could also call this the 2nd one, but you'll see why I'm calling it the 3rd, is a pair of slippers. These I started a very long time ago. I knit myself a pair. Let's see, can I get you a name? They're from Knitty. They're called Feature Magic Cast On. No. I mean, they are Magic Cast On. So they're from Knitty. They are the Simple Garter Stitch Slippers. I have a pair. I changed the opening on mine a little bit. It was the single crochet around the top was too tight on one of my two. So I don't wear them as much as I should. I would like to. I could redo them, but it's not worth it. When my feet are cold, I can put them on or not. But I started a pair for my dad, and the yarn is Fiber Nymph, and I think it's her Summer Squash colorway. Something about squash. Should be summer squash. That's what it looks like to me. Look, an old bumblebee. Oh, he lost his head. Poor guy. It's one of the first tape measures I ever had. I have that, and I have one that looks like a peppermint. So here's the first one. It just needs the edging around the top to like seam it up, right? Because it sits like that, and your leg goes in there. Super simple. The second one, I have a quarter of it done, but it's garter stitch, and it's held double, fingering weight held double, and I know that the black yarn is an opal yarn, so it makes the stripes have a little bit more interest. Solid yellow slippers just didn't seem interesting to me, so I added in that black. I've used it other places. I used it on a hat for Steve, held with alpaca. I hope I know where it is because it's not in my bag. But yeah, so it is Summer Squash, the Fiber Nymph yarn. So that's on my, like, very high on my to-do list. It came out of UFOs and went into whips on my Ravelry page. So there's that. The last project I have to show you is from July or June of 2019. I had just gotten to know Jody of Sun Soaked Yarns, and I bought the 5th Avenue colorway, which is a gorgeous it is a gorgeous yellow black, gold black, honey black, gray. It's just beautiful colorway, and I bought this, and I wanted to do a modular shawl pattern by Maggie Brussel. Yeah, that I had seen in a Knit Scene magazine. There was a whole section of modular knitting, and for some reason it spoke to me. Like, I've knit a pair of fingerless mitts, I've knit this, there's a cowl I'm gonna cast on very soon now that this is finally done. But yeah, I was totally inspired by that magazine. It's funny how some topics speak to you, and they hold on to their call for many years after they were initially published, because those fingerless mitts, which were the first thing out of that magazine that I knit, I want to say those are from 2016 when I was still at Timberland. So long time coming. So anyways, I started talking with Jody, and I wanted a gray to go with this beautiful color. So she dyed up some beautiful charcoals for me, and so that's where I don't have the leftover with me down here, but that's where the second color comes from. And I cast on 2 years ago, and then I maybe knit a section. This can be broken up into 5 sections, 4 sections, 5 sections essentially. And I knit one last summer, didn't finish it. And so this summer I was close enough. All I needed to do was this edging section. So, and it's really supposed to be 1, 2, 3 stripes, but I ended up making the garters double wide because I set it down in between, and I just kept going when I should have been changing color. And so I said, okay, design detail. I don't want to rip back a triangle shawl's worth of work. So hasn't been blocked yet. Sorry for showing it unblocked. But what I so love about this is the different direction of the knitting. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? I think it's such a cool pattern. I would love it. I would love it in a cowl. I'm not really a big shawl person, but I will make an exception. I knit a lot more cowls. So yeah, Isn't it pretty? I really like it. So, and once it's blocked, we'll lose all that waviness, or because this is where you bind off, we'll lose all that waviness along there. So, yeah, I think it's really pretty. Even though it's 85 degrees outside and the air conditioner is off so you don't have to hear it, I'm going to leave it on because I think it's beauteous. So, that's my knitting. I know, not as much as I typically do, but like I said, it's been busy. I have a 7-year-old now, so Tristan, my youngest, turned 7. He's going into 2nd grade. It's crazy. And he can now read stories to me while I'm knitting. So I think that's just about the greatest thing ever, to sit and have him read to me and I knit. So he's read me The Bad Guys and The Investigators. Those are like his favorite series right now that he's into. So that's good. Roland went back for 5 weeks because in the fall he'll be going into 5th grade. I know, he's young, but he will be going into 5th grade. And we didn't want him to go from being homeschooled back to school and not having seen the kids. Some kids went back in February and then they did a 2nd round in April and we still weren't ready. Steve and I hadn't been vaccinated against COVID yet. So we waited until we were both fully up to our vaccine. No, we didn't wait till we were fully up to it. We got really close to it. We had had our first round of shots. And I said, okay, what do you think? There was some standardized testing going on and his teacher said, yes, send him in. We'd love to have him come back. So outside of the normal school parameters, of when students could return, he returned, which was great. They made him feel very welcome. And so he got to see his friends and, reconnect with people that we really hadn't seen because we were being very, very health conscious. So in between all that, right, our little 6 going on 7-year-old, I'm not sure he's great with a mask. And my parents are around all the time. I feel responsible for them. I'm not necessarily the healthiest person. I've got some issues, so I just didn't want to risk COVID. So we waited until we were fully vaccinated, and that was when there were 3 weeks left of school, and then we sent Tristan back. Wouldn't you know, 10 days into school, 10 days, the boy comes down with strep throat. A cold and strep throat. So thank goodness he clearly was not wearing, I'm whispering so he doesn't hear me. He clearly was not doing the masking as he should have, or washing his hands enough or something, right? So he comes home with a cold and strep, both. And 3 days later, Roland and I get the cold. You probably have heard it in my voice, yeah. So takes mommy 3 times as long as everybody else to get over illness. And 3 days after Roland and I, then Steve was over it before I was. So we've been down for the count, dealing with some illness there, but thankfully no one had COVID. Tris got tested negative. So I'm thankful that the school only had 1 germ for us to catch, or 2 germs, I don't know, but we didn't get COVID, so that was nice. What else has happened with us? I feel like there's so many things that I was like, oh, I gotta tell them this, I gotta tell them that, but now I can't think of them. Yeah, I don't know. So the shop has been busy. We released our Outlander inspired club calendar countdown. So it's designed to come out next February, and we're going to do the same thing that we're doing with Mandalorian. So it's I don't want to say it wrong. I don't remember if it's 12 or 15 days. It's some amount of days. So bad. Great promotion, Stephanie. Anyways, it's some amount of days, and you can open them right away, right? Do those days, right? Those 12 days when you first get it. Or you could do 1 a week leading up to I want to say June 22nd, but I'm not sure that's right. Some point in June. At some point in June when season 6 airs. So it can be like a building up the momentum for the new season, the excitement. So we released that. We love doing clubs. They're really fun for me personally, and Mom really likes doing the bags for them too. So that's been a nice addition option for the clubs. So there's that. What else? Yeah, just going along, adding some bags to the shop, and of course the big project has been the reorg of this room. So I took a little video earlier. I'm going to put that in so you can see what got moved a little bit. I mean, I have before and afters. Not really afters, because I'm not really finished. Hey, here it is. So you may recall that I had mentioned that the den, studio, office area is getting a reorg. It's not completely done for sure, but that section is done. So we got these nice cubes up on the top shelf in my closet. Here, let me back out and back in again. Cubes up there, and then my UFOs. The bottom shelf are ones that I could see finishing in the next 6 months, and the top ones are longer term projects. And then next to that, in the family shutterfly bag right there, are some project bags, and it looks like a baby knit on the top. And then I've got all kinds of other stuff that still needs to be addressed. And you know, during all of this, we've found I have almost an entire bin of new yarn that needs to be added to Ravelry. And panning over this way, a great deal of a bin that is strictly mini skeins and advents and things like that. This one right here is the full, that project bag is full of the Valentine's Day rom-com from DVD. So these shelves aren't done yet. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but so far on this section, I've got Rhinebeck yarns, Miss Babs, the big Yowza skeins, and then that's Rhinebeck down there too. And then we added these 2 giant bookcases. They're new. So books are on the bottom. You can see this bin still needs to be put away. But then this shelf is sport DK weight hand-dyed yarn. And then that is basically anything Barocco that I had. At first it was just going to be a sweater's worth, but then I just said, let's get all the Barocco together. So Barocco vintage and this guy, what's that other one I bought a lot of? Ultra alpaca. I'm not sure that's great for a sweater, but I have plenty of it. So, and there's a sweater in a bin. There's a bowl of socks where all the socks are just getting put. And they're my baby boys, so cute, so little. I have a button jar now. I've never had a button jar. I'm not really a button jar kind of girl. That's my mood light. Anyways, okay, that's enough. There you could see this side, see, still a work in progress. But I have these beautiful, let me back up, cords everywhere. Ignore those. Checkerboard of bins, and it's so organized. Everything has a label on it. Oh, I'm so excited. All this shop stuff for the clubs and the club extras, and I don't have to dig all over to find them. They're just right there. And since I am giving you a little tour of my work in progress, see, not done, but there's some shelving and some more of those shelves in the printer over there. But then over here, yeah, I went fast so you wouldn't see what that was. Look at my beads. Aren't they beautiful? I love them. And those are my jump rings. And that's pretty much my workspace, which is about 3 times the space that it was. So I am very happy. Oh, and I can also show you more shipping supplies. And that was some lavender and more shelves. So, and there's the good old yarn wall. All right, I'm going to take you back to a regular scheduled podcast. So yeah, that's where we're at so far. Mom has a vision of hanging some socks on the wall, which I love the idea of. She wants hats and socks, and I would just rather display my socks. As it is, I threw a bunch of them in this bowl because, yeah, when you're knitting a pair a month for Desert Vista, you accumulate a lot of socks if you don't give them all away. Has it been 30 minutes? I don't know. Has it? Yeah. We also reorganized the boys' playroom. They're not really like playing with Legos as much as they used to, like on the floor playing, right? And since they went back to school, I don't have to hug my socks. Since they went back to school, we didn't need the desk setups in both of these rooms down here. So we moved the day bed, trundle bed. It's a bed with a mattress underneath, so you can make it up as high and have two twins. We moved that into the playroom for them to use as a couch because they've got their video game systems in there. And then we put tons of shelving into the closet. And so all the board games and binders of Pokemon cards and baseball cards, all of that stuff, Nerf guns, I'm trying to think what else, all kinds of stuff, went into the closet, all nicely organized. I'm so happy. I love that my mother loves organizing things. Someday she won't be able to come bail me out, but for now I'm super appreciative of her vision and her like, okay, here's how we're gonna redo everything. And I used my shop workspace for the first time last night, and it was pretty wonderful. Sitting there looking out the window, it's like making the most out of the space we have, you know, using the closets to their fullest so that we don't feel like we're busting at the seams, because I don't want to move. I like my house. I want to stay here. And we've been here for 5 years now. That's crazy. Yeah. For Tristan's birthday, my parents got both boys turtles. They turtles that have been rehabilitated and tagged, and so they have GPS trackers on them somewhere, and so you can go online and look at the map of where they swam and when they were last on land, and it's very cute to look at. And so I don't know if they come with bracelets or if Mom got bracelets for him, but the boys didn't want to wear the bracelet, so I've got the bracelet for Mr. T, and then Connor is our other turtle. So those are our turtles. Yep. Anything else? We got our pool. You know, the minute I turn this off, I'm going to think of a bunch of things that I'm like, oh, I got to tell them this. I got to tell them that. Maybe if I think of a bunch of things, I'll have to sit down and record again soon. What a thought. Okay, I am going to let you go. I hope you got some knitting done and had a chuckle or two. All right, take care, and I will be back sooner rather than later. I promise. Mwah. Bye. Also, the computer crashed and had to be restored to factory settings, my 1-year-old computer. So that was about 3 days we lost. And Roland started playing the trumpet. Okay, let's see if I remember anything. Everything I remembered. I only got ortho-K contacts that are going to correct his vision, so no more glasses.